Before we get to your scheduled video, please remember that likes and comments tell YouTube to promote our work to other people, and subscribing to the channel tells you when something new drops. You can also head to the link tree in the description to peruse my books, join us on Discord, or support us on Patreon. You can get episodes of Journey of Wrestling and Violent Profiles early, as well as a load of other treats. Even just $1 a month earns you a name drop for being cool. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the show. Greetings and salutations, fellow delicious pickles. It is I, Eric J. Chucky, joined as always by The Boy.
Hey.
This is the Two Nerds Podcast, and before we get into how awesome MJF is, we need to tell you how awesome Rob, Passion Killer 711, and a guy from Ohio are. They're cool.
They really are. Also cool, this fucking show. AEW Revolution 2023 was great.
Sometimes I sit and I wonder, is this going to be the episode that I can share with people who don't like listening to the fuck word? And, usually within 60 seconds. No, is the answer.
You gotta tell me in advance.
No, it's an experiment of mine. It's just a game I play. And I'm always so delighted to put another hash mark in the fuck column.
I say fuck a lot, unless otherwise told not to.
No, and that's fine. That's beautiful. And you know what? Hey, this is an adult entertainment program. There was boy kissing.
There was many.
I saw a guy's taint.
Many liters of ketchup were spilled recklessly.
And yet Eddie Kingston wasn't here.
No, he quit.
Bob and Mox was.
Yeah.
You know how he likes ketchup and mustard.
He does. He loves them.
Talking about AEW Revolution 2023. If you got here and hadn't figured that out, how did we get on your autoplay?
Are you asleep?
Wake up!
Hi.
Hey.
We're the people who've interrupted your night.
If you'd hit that like button and comment and all that shit.
Yeah, leave a mean comment. Tell us how much you didn't like being woken up like that.
Tell us about the dream you were having before we woke you up.
Was it cool?
Yeah, I hope it was cool.
Anyway.
I don't we do spoiler-free version. It was a really good show.
Spoiler-free version, it was well worth the price of the pay-per-view. It was fucking great. It was a genuinely really good wrestling show. I would give it an A.
I actually, when I went to the restroom before the show started, because I didn't go back again until after it was over, and boy, that was a rush. I happened to think, this is like a little less than the amount we pay for a video game. And, those provide us with at least 40 hours of entertainment.
As opposed to 4.
And then at the same time, when the show was over, I said that was worth it.
Yeah, it was absolutely worth it.
I'm bad at letter grades outside of the confines of a tier list where I have every option available to rank. Sure, B+. Maybe an A-. I don't know. There were two standout matches
that you didn't. There were two standout matches you did like, and two standout matches you didn't like.
No.
So it's.
I think the thing I'm looking forward to the most, and that I haven't had from any pay-per-view in a while, is hype. I was not hyped going into this. I predicted most of these matches, and I mean that's okay.
No, I read your predictions. You did about a 60% job.
That's most.
It was, but come on, that's not what you meant.
No. I'm not gonna figure out percentages.
Look, we post this in the Discord that we have. You can see his predictions there. He posted them in the Discord.
I'll go double check.
You do the math.
I suppose for a lot of them I offered or options, and I think. One, I was just wrong on. Absolutely just wrong. But, two. If that equals out to 60% math nerds, then I'm wrong on the internet. If it doesn't, then I'm right on the internet, you fools! But, the predictability isn't bad. Sometimes the predictable choice is the right choice. And
we talk about that a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think most of the choices they made here were the wrong choice. And even the choices they made that I didn't like, I don't know that they were the wrong choice.
There was one choice, I think, one match exactly where I really would have rather they not pick that particular choice.
Main event.
But then right after...
You didn't even acknowledge my
No,
joke.
I didn't. Then right after that match, they made it clear why they made that choice and got me back. There were some choices I was like, I kind of wish you guys hadn't. But, like, there was only one match where I was like, I really think that was a bad call. And then they made it good.
Well, and if it's the match I think you were talking about, there wasn't a good call to make out of that.
Well, I disagree. But we're not there yet.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's our spoiler-free version.
Yeah, if you got $50, buy it.
If you don't have $50,
I understand that. Don't.
yeah.
Look it up on YouTube.
Actually, if you got $50, I got a Patreon.
Shit, yeah, you know what? Just listen to us talk about
Yeah.
stuff. We do Journey of Wrestling content. That's kind of like a, an amazing pay-per-view from a wrestling company. You could give us the $50.
Sure, slowly over a period of
Many months.
Yeah. We watched the pre-show because the pre-show's good.
Yeah, it's almost universally just really good and well done and gets you actually hyped for the show. Great job, AEW. You figured out pre-shows in a way WWE literally never has.
Good interviews, good match. We got to see Danhausen in the Homer Simpson moo-moo. But the match we had was Ari Daivari, Josh Woods, and Tony Nese against the Lucha Brothers and Mark Briscoe. It was good. It was 12 minutes and 50 seconds of good.
Yeah, it was fun. It wasn't a match that was taking itself amazingly seriously. Mark Briscoe continues to be a kind of a baffling comedy wrestler. I don't hate it at all, but like his full on like Bruce Lee hi-yas are very amusing.
I don't know how this man is carrying on after the untimely tragic death of his brother and in-ring partner.
Yeah, it is, and he's carrying on with such verve and like positive energy, and he's like having fun.
He carried Jay Lethal through their match that they had in memory of his brother. Jay Lethal trying not to cry openly. And Mark's like, "Come on, man, let's have a good time."
It's just a strength of a strength of will that I find admirable.
I would agree, and I'm glad we get to see him on TV. I'm glad he's being a goof, and I love the Lucha Brothers. So
yeah, Lucha Brothers they're great. So I'm glad. Obviously, the team with Mark Briscoe on it won. Obviously, they did. I love the varsity athletes. I think Josh Woods is actually a really good wrestler. Tony Nese is also a good wrestler, but he's got more fun character. Josh Woods can sometimes just be guy.
yeah,
Tony Nese is at least buff guy, even though they are both roughly equally buff. I can't explain it. Ari Daivari is good. Mark Sterling did a little intro for them where he introduced them all individually, and that was fucking gold. Keep doing that.
I've been a fan of Mark Sterling this whole time.
Oh yeah, Mark Sterling's great.
Yeah, it was good. The show proper opens. We have Ricky Starks versus Chris Jericho at some point in this feud. It could be the end. It could be the middle.
God, I hope it's the end.
The Jericho Appreciation Society were banned from ringside.
And so Ricky Starks just won.
Although Sammy Guevara tried to come down to ringside for the distraction.
Get his boss disqualified for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't understand what the point of that was, other than to let Action Andretti kill him. And if that was the point, then okay.
the thing I wanted to see was some other friend of Jericho's come to ringside, because Jericho immediately accepted this stipulation.
But like it was clear in the moment, in the promo, that he was being goaded into it.
I like a little bit, but like he gave in pretty quick.
You wanted it to have been like a double reverse where Jericho's always a step ahead, and like Ricky thought he roosted Jericho, but Jericho was merely double reverse roosing him.
I mean, even if not, Jericho had a whole ass month to sit and think about this. He couldn't have stopped at one point and gone, "Wait, I know another guy who's not in my stable.
I know at least one guy.
At least one guy. Shivani!" Not helping you out, Chris Jericho. Systematic cheating.
Or paid a guy, or
Sure.
hired the firm.
Yeah.
They're still technically a stable for hire, I think. Hire the firm. The firm shows up, beats up Ricky Starks. Chris Jericho gets a win. Ricky Starks is now mad at the firm, and he can feud with people more on his sort of keel.
I say it a lot in real life. I say it now and then in the Discord. I'll say it again here. I'm not for Ricky Starks.
I am. I like him. He's a good talent. I think I push for him harder. Literally, just in contrast to how much I think you overly deride him.
Yeah, I meme hard on him. I find him bland. Sometimes he does a great promo, and I'm like, oh, Ricky Starks might be good now. And then he turns around and farts.
Shits the bed. All right, he's a good talent. He's got a good promo. He doesn't always deliver, but almost no wrestler always delivers.
Sure. It's just that sometimes he gives out bad, awkward promos.
But he's good in the ring. He's not my favorite AEW talent. I wouldn't even say he's in the top 5, but he's good, and he gets such absurd clowning from the people I actually talk to about wrestling that I feel almost compelled to defend him.
I also don't want them to call his quote-unquote spear a spear anymore.
He doesn't... The follow-through is what's missing on it.
Well, and the one he hit on this pay-per-view...
was great. It was cool.
Great if spears were hitting someone in the throat with your shoulder while you do a big jumpy. That's not a spear.
I think that spear was good. I think
it was a cool move. I don't think it was a spear. If you pull off
is this
the most beautiful stalling vertical suplex and Excalibur goes, Death Rider! No! That's not that move!
So this is just the Walls of Jericho thing again? You're just very mad that they're not being absolutely technically accurate with the names of moves?
All right. On one, Excalibur is at that commentary desk. That's sort of his thing.
Yeah, he does almost always stretch all you want for some sort of luchador name for it. Sometimes it's not a word for that. Thanks, Taz. You had my back.
2, I don't mind it as much when, man, that heater's kicking on. You guys are going to hear a slight buzz. It's not even cold in here.
But no one's ever mentioned it.
Well,
if you actually care, this is the test. Everyone listening to this podcast, if you can hear this noise and you give even the slightest amount of a shit about it...
Every podcast is someone's first. You know? Someone coming in here is like, oh man, I love AEW. These people are being assailed by bees. That makes me anxious.
You know what? Just admire our confidence and swagger to push through the bee tide, to bring you podcast.
Maybe I should just switch it up and be like, don't mind that. It's a cloud of bees. The Walls of Jericho, I am crummy about because I like the Walls of Jericho as a move, and it's a Boston Crab now. But you know what? The elevated Boston Crab was an elevated Boston Crab. He called the Walls of Jericho. That's his move name. Fine. I accept it. I don't like it, but I accept it.
The Lion Tamer is legitimately a different move.
The Lion Tamer and the Walls are different moves. Yes. And the Walls and a Boston Crab used to be different moves.
He normally actually does the Lion Tamer right.
Yes, when he does the actual Lion Tamer, he does. But regardless, Ricky Starks didn't invent the wrestling move, the spear. And if you're going to do something called a spear, you should do a spear. I don't think Ricky Starks should do a spear.
I honestly don't either. Memes aside, it's not the right move for... He's too small.
Yeah.
He's probably taller than me, and he's certainly buffer than me. But you're in a ring with pro wrestlers, you gotta have some meat on you to do a spear. You need to look like a linebacker, at minimum, or a tackle. You gotta look like someone who can knock someone that big over and, knock the wind out of them enough to pin them for 3. That has to be a thing that is believable. It's kind of like the Hurricane doing a choke slam.
You're bigger than Ricky Starks.
That's sad.
The man's is 6 feet tall, and he is not built like you, my friend.
I am literally just larger than him in all dimensions.
In all dimensions.
But...
Sorry, Ricky's penis.
That's mean on him and me, I think.
Not necessarily. He will always be defeated.
But, he's not got the right body type for it. You can sell that if you have enough explosive power. Like Edge. Edge is rangy, but he's not necessarily beefy. He sold the spear on pure commitment.
And I think the other problem is Ricky Starks always has the impact of the spot where one wrestler throws another wrestler at a third wrestler. And that never looks as good as you want it to, but you give it some extra appreciation because a guy threw a guy at another guy.
Yeah, he kind of bounced off Chris Jericho with his spear.
And anytime he does the spear, it's sort of like, it's not graceful. It's not impactful. It's a fine move. It's
the Rochambeau is a great finisher.
Rochambeau's fine. And it's a non-spinning lie detector. It is a flying shoulder tackle. Give it a good name like the Stark Experience or Absolute Air or something, and you're fine. But you've chosen to call it a spear, and that upsets me. Anyway, the match was fine. Ricky Starks won.
I want this to be the end of this feud.
Yes.
Because like all feuds with Chris Jericho, it has gone on too fucking long.
We move on to probably the best Buried Alive match I've seen. Or casket match, for that matter.
Certainly not the best casket match I've seen, but of Buried Alive matches, yeah, I'd say that's a fair.
Yeah, I've seen a few Buried Alive matches. Fewer casket matches. But, Darby's put on a couple good ones.
His coffin matches are something to be...
Yes, I am sorry. For legal reasons, this is a final burial match, which has nothing to do with the Buried Alive match. Completely different.
Yeah, for legal reasons, they're very different. And also, the final burial match is much fucking cooler. Because a man got sent to the Shadow Realm at the end of it, instead of just laying down in a hole while another guy sprinkles dirt on him.
You know what? Can I fucking say that? I can. This is my podcast. Fucking Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. Uncle Howdy careens past the wrestler that he's supposed to be fighting, and flames explode for no reason. In this match that ends with a coffin being sucked into the earth like an egg through a bottle.
Sometimes it's possible to go so over the top that you're not effective anymore. The sheer blunt effectiveness of Jungle Boy putting Christian Cage in the coffin casket. It's a casket. And then it just being fucking just sent to the fucking Shadow Realm. Just fired into the earth as if from a cannon. That is way cooler.
I hope it was just a repurposed Cody Vader.
It's too fast. It's Rey Mysterio's old.
Well, but I'm saying if you disengage it, it goes that quickly.
God, that implies that every time Cody Rhodes rode up, he was mere moments, one flick switch away from being like whoop, cracking the floor.
The rest of this match, just beside the very good, fun ending, was really good. Great psychology. They really played into it, and I really liked how building up to it, Christian pretended like he was the Undertaker, kind of.
Thus foreshadowing he would lose.
Yeah.
The Undertaker doesn't win Buried Alive matches. They are his specialty match to lose.
This was just really fun. And they did a great job of reigniting and finishing, I hope, this feud that was taking too long back before Christian got injured again.
Yeah, this might be the longest wrestling feud. And it's one feud. It's not like they went at the end of the feud and then reignited. This has just been... Because Christian Cage hasn't done anything else. Jungle Boy has, because Christian was injured. But this has just been one long fucking feud that may have honestly been going for a year now.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
And this is clearly the end of it.
Yeah.
And Jack Perry is great. Christian Cage puts him over huge here. And it's just good shit.
This match gets bonus points because, as I often demand, there was kissing in it.
Yeah.
Lots of gentle kissing between friends.
Yeah, they both, when they were trying to finally, bury their opponent, gave them a gentle kiss on the forehead.
I don't know why. It's not a sexual thing. But I wish there was more kissing in my wrestling matches. I don't know. Tickling also. I think that's a fun tactic. No one's going to expect it. If Jon Moxley's ticklish, can you imagine? You would be fired, both from the company and out of a cannon, but you would go down as the legend who made Jon Moxley giggle like a schoolgirl in the middle of a match where he's bleeding.
And go like, stop!
Legendary. Absolutely perfect. Yeah, great match. We move into, ooh, it's a tough call for match of the night. It might be this one.
For me, the main event was match of the night. But I will be honest, up until the main event happened, I had no idea how they were going to top this.
But at the end of it, we said, sorry, rest of the show.
Yeah,
this was an incredible contest.
This is the opener coming out and just blowing the rest of the fucking... the rest of the bands off the stage, as it were. House of Black versus the Elite for the trios titles. This match... there are so many different ways I'd like to praise this match. They're getting stuck in my mouth like Three Stooges syndrome. You go.
They made excellent use of Brody King. Having him not only doing the big man thing of being the guy who clears the ring and it takes numbers to knock him down, but he was continuously selling what a hard ass he was through the whole contest. It didn't feel like a gimmick. It felt natural, you know? It didn't feel like, oh, we're pretending this guy's really big and strong for the sake of the wrestling match, like burbling Big Show. It was
more like, oh God, one of the three people in this trio is fucking Brock Lesnar. Well, that's a problem.
I loved watching Kenny against Malachi Black. That was a treat that I didn't realize I needed until they were in the ring, and I went, oh.
The fans didn't either. Then it happened. The two dudes were in the ring, and they just before they had touched each other, just began chanting, "This is awesome."
Yeah.
As everyone simultaneously realized, holy shit, this match is happening, and then began squealing like schoolgirls.
Yeah, not taking away anything from Buddy Matthews. He was as good as he always is. Like, everybody was. Kenny, the Bucks.
Buddy Matthews is an excellent final piece to the puzzle.
He really is. He really brings them together. And I even say that having watched some tag matches with Malachi and Brody, they're good. But Buddy really rounds them out, and they really do good work as a trio. And I've always been a fan of Julia Hart.
Julia Hart, she's thriving. This gimmick is so cool, and it is still like it is continuously really cool. She is as cool as the other people in the House of Black, and that's a high bar because the other people in the House of Black are really fucking cool.
Yeah. I have a hard time praising this match because what do you talk about? Is this the Guardians of the Galaxy thing? Do I sit here and tell you for nearly 20 minutes how every spot was great?
Basically I can't explain how good this match was because it was just non-stop really cool, good fucking wrestling for 18 minutes, and then the fucking House of Black won, which I was not expecting to happen.
This is one of two missed calls I had. I wanted the House of Black to win. I didn't think the Elite were going to let go of those titles. There was a small part of me that hoped, based on how many defenses they had given them and how good they looked at the end of the best of 7, that they would transfer these titles onto these guys. Because for back-end reasons, for front-end reasons, the House of Black needed these titles for this match that was set up. If they lost this match, it wouldn't ruin them forever. They're all very good, but that doesn't look good for anybody involved.
The road to Uncle Howdy is paved with a series of people going, Bray Wyatt can afford to lose this match.
Yes.
The House of Black isn't destined for Uncle Howdy times.
No.
And I love that.
Yeah, me too. I'm really thrilled about this. I'm really thrilled going forward. Tag team wrestling is my favorite kind of wrestling, and trios as tag team with more guys.
Yeah, it's good shit.
Yep. And now we might get Kenny doing solo stuff, and that's exciting.
And the Bucks might go back to the tag scene, which, I mean, good.
Yeah, their tag team division has gotten
They've got
different.
a lot of tag teams, but they don't have a lot of oomph.
No.
It's very flat field. No one feels like the big guy.
Yeah.
For now.
And for now.
Yeah.
But that moves us into the women's championship match. Jamie Hayter defending her title against Saraya and Ruby Soho.
Yeah. This match was really good, but it...
one of the best efforts I've seen Ruby put in. I can often be very critical of her, but I think, especially with her finisher changing, she has found out what works for her in the ring. Sometimes she just looked a little like she wasn't putting enough oomph into things. Not quite the same way as Riho, but in a similar, space.
This match suffered from being after the fucking barn burner that was before it.
Yeah.
But everyone came to do their jobs, and they did them quite well.
Saraya was also looking a lot better. I thought
She's kicked a lot of the rust off.
Yeah, I thought she looked kind of weak in her return match.
I thought her return match was fine, but as she's kept getting better, I am reminded of how good Paige used to be.
Oh, hell yeah. I don't think she's on that level again. I'm not sure she'll ever hit it again, but she's
not
doing...
fucking 19 anymore.
I'll keep my crass comments in my pocket.
Hey, that's right, you keep them in the pocket.
So yeah, the Jamie Hayter defends her title. Literally, she wins the match on a roll-up, which was neat. I like that AEW isn't afraid to occasionally do other kinds of finishes beside the finisher.
Yeah, I like that if this is a thing I want to generally compliment about AEW. I like that if a person has like a signature move that is built by the commentary team as a finisher, like a secondary, sometimes it actually wins them the match. Often not in the big pay-per-view matches, because in the big pay-per-view matches, all the wrestlers get buffed by that medicine from the Injustice games, and you could literally throw them through the Empire.
That's just steroids. We don't talk about that stuff. There was a trial about
No, it's
that.
super salt. So you go and put it on pizza.
I think that's what the fans are buffed by.
You could throw them through the Empire State Building, and they would then kick out at 2. But in normal matches, sometimes secondary finishes will actually work, which good. It keeps them legitimate.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm reminded of it here, so I'm going to say it now so I don't forget. This pay-per-view did not succumb to the AEW pay-per-view curse, which is they do the same big spot twice.
Or 3 times.
Yeah, and it keeps happening, whether that big spot is a literal action spot, or whether it's the way an interference goes down, or what have you. They didn't do that this time.
It felt very much
helped.
of a piece.
Uh-huh.
This everyone was playing with different toys, and that always feels nice.
Yes. Good way to put that.
The Jamie Hayter wins. Ruby finally picks a side, and it's the side I was hoping she would pick this whole time.
Really?
Yeah, she's a better heel.
I suppose. I think she's been very scrappy.
She's a good scrappy face, but she can be a very menacing heel.
AEW does need heels, especially since the 2 of them were turned face by Jamie Hayter's popularity, and the other heel is stuck until Chris Statlander comes back.
So, yeah.
So I don't hate it. I'm not excited for it, but honestly, it kind of pulled on the match for me with having her do the double fake out triple cross. BMX Triple X.
I like it because it played very much, at least for me, in the moment of being like an in the moment choice.
Sure.
Because Jamie Hayter beat her on a roll up.
Sure.
You know what? Fuck you is a fine response to that.
Yeah, and I don't hate it. The end result is what I'm kind of okay. I liked her as a neutral party. I would have liked it if she did both double crosses and then just walked away, screw you both.
Well, that's what she's been doing.
Yeah.
And it was good, but if they're going to continue this storyline, having it remain a 3-point dance is just overly complex.
Sure, and now they can evolve it and take it in different directions. I'm glad that Hayter kept her title. I think she deserves more time with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily know that I wanted Saraya or Ruby to win. I would have been fine if Ruby won. Just because, her winning and then remaining the independent of, rising above this petty infighting to be the champion is a great story. But Jamie's so fucking over, dude. You don't want to take the title off her yet.
No, she's still riding that high. Next fight.
Next we have a medieval bloodletting. Somebody thought their humors were out of balance.
I didn't care for the first half of this match.
I thought it was fine. This match was a death match. It was a Texas death match, and they did a death match. They didn't fuck around.
And I wasn't over here clutching my pearls and going, why would they do this? I mean, I was maybe cringing and going, why would they do this? But, in that way that they want you to, oh, it's so awful. But it just, I don't know. I've changed. This used to be my bread and butter. I used to love this. I used to mark for thumbtacks.
You can go back and listen to old podcasts of us marking out for thumbtacks and blood spots, and I think it might partially be a case of like when the WWE did it, it was so rare that and so relatively restrained that it was a special thing.
Yeah.
Whereas AEW, Mox specifically, I'm not convinced he can go to the bathroom without blading. So it doesn't feel special anymore.
Well,
so it feels familiarity breeds contempt, and in that contempt you can realize how kind of weird and gross it is.
That, and I'm older and I care more about the individuals behind the persona. And I don't know that I want to see sweet, sad millennial cowboy get forked.
When he has stated on many occasions, he would love it to do that less.
Yeah. They're still in the back of my head, table spots, what have you. When they put the chairs up back to back, I don't want anyone to die. I don't want my wrestling event ruined by seeing a man die.
And for me, I have that in reaction, but ultimately, I just sort of got to put my trust in the performers.
Sure.
Know what they're capable of.
It's, Renee was talking about the final burial match in the pre-show, and she mentioned that it was very spooky and haunting because it reminds us all of our own mortality, and probably everyone's afraid of that. And yeah, in the middle, she was kind of doing a bit, but in the middle of that, in the death match, I'm reminded of the wrestler's mortality, and you've kind of sucked me out of the product. You have taken away my buy-in, if you will, and replaced it with horror. But once they got past the spectacle
portion of the match where everyone was blading constantly, or in Hangman's case, being forked,
it became a really good last man standing match.
Yeah, it's certainly of the matches of this night, it was in the top half. It was real horror show shit. They painted the ring. It was not pretty. It was not, as Jonathan Good himself said, not so many months ago, this is not ballet.
No, they definitely don't do that in ballet. Yeah, that's absolutely true.
These two dudes fucked each other up for our entertainment, and they did an excellent job doing it. But as much as I'm not as pulling back from it as you are, maybe it's just that I'm a few years younger, it's still not exactly my cup of tea these days. They did a really good job, but notably, the finale didn't have a whole lot less blood in it, but it felt more earned.
And that's kind of the thing, too, is I made a comparison then and didn't even realize it. I mentioned after the match that I still love horror movies because it's fake. I don't mind seeing a guy get cut up in a horror movie, carve him up with a chainsaw for all I care. It's props. I don't mind. And, but I've long since passed the point where I can watch torture porn. Not my thing. The first half of this match, in wrestling terms, felt more like torture porn.
The second half, which again was still quite bloody, and people were being thrown into barbed wire, which had maybe been gimmicked, but was still barbed wire. It felt like a last man standing match. There was intention to it.
Yeah, the spots were spots that were wrestling spots, not just a man knifing another man.
Not just a man literally stabbing another man repeatedly in the forehead and being sprayed with arterial fluid.
And that, I suppose, is the difference for me. I would have rather have seen, if you guys are going to get color, do it naturally. Not that kind of naturally, but do it as part of the wrestling match. I'm not sitting here saying I hate it or never do it. As JR said many times in the build-up and during the pay-per-view itself, there is something for everyone here in terms of wrestling. There were amazing technical bouts. There were, very sports entertaining bouts. There was gore, violence, and there was all the weirdness. It was, this is part of it, and I'm okay with it being part of it. My evaluation, that part wasn't for me. But both of these guys did manage to entertain, perform, put everything on the line. Mad respect to both of them for that. Ridiculous amount of respect to Mox for tapping out.
Yeah, he's never done that before in AEW.
No.
They have very much protected Jon Moxley's character. and his tough guy sort of persona. In a way, I feel is good because it protects the product, protects the brand, makes him marketable. But anyone's gonna tap out when the other option is literally die. So I feel like they did it in a way that was very believable.
Sure,
because he was on his tippy toes, but the image they were selling was I will tap out or I will die now. So I liked it quite a bit. I liked the finish a lot. As I understand it, I have learned that this exact finish basically is how Hangman got his name. So good to walk it out again, I guess.
Now for a match that I didn't care for. Samoa Joe defends his TNT Championship against Wardlow.
This match was good. The finish was fine. It was missing about 5 minutes. And I know where they put those 5 minutes. And I'm not mad about it. But it was missing about 5 minutes. 5 minutes longer, and I think this would have been a good match.
I don't feel like this whole Wardlow angle has been booked very well. And I understand that's because of extenuating circumstances. I am 90% sure at some point Wardlow got injured.
Yeah, like nothing, because AEW is very private about their performers' injuries.
And I respect that.
Yeah, everyone has a right to privacy. Wardlow doesn't need to tell me if he tore his groin or whatever. That's not something I need to know. But you're probably right. Just given the way that he probably needed a few weeks off, so they did the hair spot to give him a few weeks off. In that interim, however, the one true king of television came in and absolutely blew him out of the fucking water and did cooler things with the TNT title than Wardlow ever did.
And then Darby took it and did amazing shit with it.
And then the one true king of television took it back and did more amazing shit with it, and now it's back on fucking Wardlow.
And we've got the Face of the Revolution ladder match winner, Powerhouse Hobbs, going up against him in a matter of, tomorrow, if you're listening to this on debut day. And what does this do? If Hobbs wins, which I would love to see because I love Hobbs, what does that do for Wardlow? That's not great for Wardlow.
So, they've never been shy about bouncing the TNT title around.
No.
They do that shit all the time. That's not about protecting the title.
No.
I don't know that it hurts Wardlow. I feel like Wardlow finished his business with Samoa Joe because it was personal. Wardlow doesn't feel very attached to the title. He's even said in previous promos, I plan on going for the world title, but I want to do other stuff first. He got the TNT title, he had a run with that, he lost it, he got it back. He finished his very personal feud with Samoa Joe. If Hobbs beats him, I feel like there's no reason for Wardlow to get all salty and try and get back at Hobbs, as much as he could just go to the main event and fight the winner of the main event.
Sure. And, it's not the worst thing in the world. I just don't think either man who loses the match on Wednesday is not going to look good.
I genuinely think Hobbs should win because it's much worse for Hobbs to lose that match than it is Wardlow.
I think both are also recoverable. It's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, but it is just one is worse.
This was a preventable situation. Cough, next match, cough. And I don't know that we needed to do what we did here. But AEW usually pays off what they start building up. So.
Yep. I trust. I have trust.
Yeah. That takes us into the four-corner tag team match. I want to praise this for two reasons. One, I appreciate them giving the Guns the titles. I know they're not over in the way you would like them to be, IWC. But they are hard workers, and they deserve praise for what they have done, and this is a great way to give it to them. Two, I appreciate the Prelude Four Corners match on Rampage to show you exactly how the match worked, so there wasn't that awkward adjustment period at the pay-per-view.
That was great. I was very sports entertained by this match.
Yeah.
But speaking as, I guess, the IWC in this metaphor, the Guns aren't over enough to be tag team champions.
I don't know that they need... No, I agree with you. They're not. The crowd is not hot on the Guns, but if you're going to give it to them, do you want to give it to them now when they're relevant or later as in never?
I think there's... It's not that they have to like the Guns. The Guns just need to actually be over.
I think they're great heels, though. That's the interesting thing to me is that...
And the Acclaim's run hadn't... If someone was going to take those titles off the Acclaimed, honestly, even though I like him a lot less, Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal were better people to do it because they're more over. People hate Jeff Jarrett for very good reasons.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that either. I guess personally for me, I would have been more disgusted if geriatric Jeff Jarrett won half the tag team titles.
Then young up-and-comers. This is about building them. This is using the title, which has been built up with various good tag team champions, to then put it on a team who's not necessarily ready to build them up.
I think part of the problem with the Guns is that they have a variety of X-Pac heat. Because the fans are happy to hate them until it looks like they've managed any success. And then it becomes the, I am not booing you because you're an effective heel, I'm booing you because I hate you sort of thing. Or the silence that we got here at this pay-per-view with this and the previous match.
Wardlow won to just deafening silence. Just quickly to get to the end of this so I can talk about it. The Guns win here just clean. They just win clean. Bad call. Just bad call. Just fully bad call. I don't even necessarily know that the Guns winning is a bad call. The Guns winning clean is a bad call.
I mean, they had some chicanery going into it, and they pinned Danhausen.
Yeah, no, I mean, Danhausen was the right guy to take that. I love Danhausen.
Especially because Danhausen didn't have a tag team partner. Like, Orange Cassidy had been out of that match for at least 3 minutes. Just laying on the floor.
I'm I love Danhausen. I'm happy he's allowed to wrestle now, but he was the right guy to take that fall. Mm-hmm. But it's just, well, and if you're going to book them as shitbags, scummy, like cowardly heels, they need to win like that at least a couple times. As you know, I am a big fan of the heel isn't cheating because he has to, the heel is cheating because he likes to angle. That's fun for me. I like it a lot. But you have to establish the cheating first for that subversion to then be good.
I don't even know necessarily that these guys are the cheaty scumbag type. I think they're a little bit more the, why do you have to be good at what you're doing, you dillhole type.
So it's not so much that they are, they're not Lanny Poffo. They're just smug pricks.
They're not Ted DiBiase. They're the genius guy. Not Lanny Poffo, the other one, the newer one.
Damien Sandow?
Yes.
It's, I am actually a good wrestler. I'm just also a really smug prick about it.
Yeah, but they're a different version of smug prick. They're millennials. So, it's a different kind of distaste the crowd has. It feels very classic 1980s, early 90s booking to me. And I don't think it's landing with the crowd the way they want it to. But I also feel like their tag division is in a weird place right now because the Acclaimed are on the decline. Now, they're declining from Mount Everest, so it's not that bad. But they are starting to lose a little bit of their momentum. And FTR looked like they were leaving the Fed. They might still be.
Now, this is why I said earlier that the one call I was like, that's a bad call. I just explained it. They immediately made it fine because after the match, FTR came back, and then the Guns winning clean makes sense. Because you want them to look like legitimate people who might actually be able to still beat fucking FTR.
And that's good long-term storytelling. We are taking, all that antagonization they gave FTR...
on their way out.
On their way out, before they went on their way out, after they went on their way out, and now there's this culmination. You get FTR finally winning the straps. There's been a lot of complaints that I somewhat agree with that they should have given it to them when they had the rest of those titles.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the Acclaimed. Swerve and Our Glory should never have been champs. I like Keith Lee. I like Swerve Strickland. That should have been FTR. That just should have been FTR. They should have had all the belts. It was right fucking there. It was the easiest layup in booking history. You didn't do it. Oh!
Without taking a side, because I don't know what is and isn't a work with FTR, Dax specifically. I could see, from many perspectives, why the Fed head would not want to put the tag straps on them.
But for many portions of that particular disagreement, the point of disagreement didn't exist. Because the Fed had agreed very much with Dax Shepard on that subject.
Imagine if he was Dax Shepard.
So
what if they came out once and it was
just was,
and they pretended like it was normal?
He shaved his head, got the mustache going.
Yeah, put a bald cap on.
Yeah, bald cap.
Not even like a good one, just like set it on his head.
Sideburn flaps are going.
Yeah.
But like he very much agreed with him. So there's no. It was during that period actually. So there's just no reason why Swerve and Our Glory had the tag team titles. That should have been FTR. It just should have been.
Hindsight's 2020.
No, I said that at the time. This is not hindsight.
Well, I mean, but that you have a different perspective, and hindsight is 2020. I mean, like, if Tony Khan thought that way, for example, looking back, sure, but it's the same thing with when the Acclaimed won the titles from Swerve and Our Glory. You know, we had that second match that was not.
It was good, but it just wasn't the magic.
No
one to call an audible.
Basically, yeah. But I'm fine with this.
No, I was very sports entertained by this match.
There's another thing that's come up in the last couple of nights. It seems like we're getting some good tag feuds brewing outside of the tag titles,
which I like because that means more tag team wrestling.
Yeah, so I'm really excited for the tag team division going forward because,
well, the 10,000-pound gorilla is back, and also maybe the Young Bucks will be back. So good.
Unless you give the belts to Bear Country, like even as much as I've just got done praising the Guns, there's only up to go from here.
Yeah.
And you know what? Let's give Bear Country their due. If the Guns can win the titles, why can't they?
It's about the same, honestly.
All right, main event time. This has been a long one. It's been a hard one, but it hasn't been a circumcised one. MJF and Daniel Bryanson of Queen in an Iron Man match. JR, during the trios match, started to say...
he just called him Mr. Black.
Yeah, Mr. Black, because he does audible pause. Mr. Black.
Fuck it. I very much like that energy.
Yeah, it's good. But, this is another case in which the predictable result is not necessarily a bad result.
You guys know, like, if you've listened to this podcast before, I'm a huge fan of MJF. He is unironically a generational talent. Just completely unironically. It's the thing he says, and it also happens to be just true. He's maybe the most talented wrestler of his generation that I've seen. And it's, like, not close. So, I'm always happy to see him flourish. And I want him to hold this title for a long time. But by the end of it, they had earned Danielson's win. If he had won, I wouldn't have been mad.
My joke was about how we almost saw his wiener a lot.
We did almost see his wiener a lot.
I just wanted to clarify that before we got too deep into it. Could have been confusing. I would have been disappointed if they went with Bryan.
I mean, but same a little, but they'd earned it in the match.
Sure, but just disappointed. And even before the match went as incredibly as it did, an hour and 5 minutes, man. That's a long time to have to pee. But I sat there, and I think I deserve an AEW title. I'll take the FTW. That's fine.
I'm not with him. Hook, if you hear this, I'm not affiliated with him.
I've seen Hook fight bigger guys. I think I have an edge.
But
he'll punch me in the nose once and I'll go down. Dead.
Yeah, like a sack
Just
of bricks.
dead.
This match it's kind of the same thing as the trios match, the other best match of
Which
the night.
is why I've been honking my clown horn, because what the fuck can I say about this?
This was
5 stars.
Yeah, 5 stars, excellent storytelling.
Even counting the star that got removed.
It was 6 stars before that.
Yeah, it was. The Tokyo Dome began to manifest around them. It was astounding.
But it was perfect pro wrestling.
Yeah, exceptional storytelling. And the only reason I say that these are, both kind of match of the night is because they're different kinds of wrestling. This was a lot of technical wrestling, a lot of catch wrestling, a lot of, psychological stuff. I don't know if a lot of moves were hit compared to most of the rest of the matches even. But the drama, the pageantry, you want to talk about matches that felt old school. MJF was rocking that 1980s heel energy. He was rocking that Roddy Piper, that Ric Flair, that Rick Rude, that other Rick.
But it's just, you're absolutely right. I have nothing to add to that because you're just correct. It's just perfect pro wrestling. Again, notably, not a lot less bloody than the death match, but more earned. Like, because by the time that started happening, it had been 40 fucking minutes.
And Danielson did such a good job of playing tired about 30 minutes in that I thought he actually was.
You thought he was gassed? He fucking worked you.
He did.
You thought he was gassed out, and then later he was like, nah.
And both of them played their characters so well. I mean, last night, I after I watched this, I watched the Chris Danger documentary about becoming a pro wrestler, and there's a lot of insight there from the likes of Tyler Breeze and Ten Man, Sean Spears, and a little bit from Claudio, but mostly those other two, about the difference between someone who thinks they can wrestle, an actual wrestler, and like the main events. And this match put on display every quality of what sets the difference between those main event performers and the job squad. It was,
and who are a vital part of pro wrestling.
Absolutely. But there's a reason my unsung favorites are unsung when you put on an art form this astounding.
Just, I have nothing to criticize about this match. I am an internet wrestling reviewer. Legitimately. No, we are.
This is Game Grumps. We don't do Let's Plays.
I am reviewing a wrestling show on the internet right now. And I have nothing to criticize about. This was just fucking perfect.
Yeah, it was really
No
good.
fucking notes.
Bryce also was just great. Great job as referee.
Bryce Remsburg is one of the best referees I've ever seen.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
He has magic sliding powers.
He does. There was a match I posted on our Discord, the Invisible Man versus Invisible Stan, his evil twin brother, which, as you may guess, is just Bryce Remsburg wandering around for a while, pretending that he's reffing a match.
And he does it so well, you can understand what's happening in the match.
Like, this guy is... You want to talk about generational talents? This guy is the generational talent of refereeing. There hasn't been one as good, and we are unlikely to see one since.
MJF obviously wins.
They do a nice thing where they build to a tie. It takes so long for any fall to happen, you're afraid you're going to get Brett versus Sean.
Yeah.
And
I'm so happy they didn't, because I fucking hate that.
But they go to a tie, and the match ends, and there is what feels like confusion, where they have to run down to ringside. Shivani has to tell him that Tony Khan says, no, restart the match, we're not going out like that. The fans are upset.
MJF isn't even mad, he's heartbroken. He's like, no, I survived! No!
And it's good. That last sudden death fall was tight, because they did the thing. That's the best part about it. That's why it's art, is that they built to a point where you could actually believe either man would walk out the champion. As predictable as this was, it was the opposite of the way the blood happened in the death match, where I was brought out of my buy-in. They bought me in even further. I was already here to see these two men perform, sure that MJF would win. By the end of that match, I was willing to believe either victory. They
managed to burn away the smart energy around my soul. They bought me into the fiction of the world. I was there for the fight scene in the movie, and they had me. I believed that either of those guys could win. I am such a cynical, jaded, wrestling fan in a lot of ways. I try not to be. I don't like cynicism. but the WWE, the world has shaped me as it will. Vince McMahon's scars upon my soul.
It's an awesome black metal lyric, I think.
Thanks. But they bought me. They worked me. They had earned Bryan Danielson winning. I would have gone, that makes sense given the match. And MJF still won. And I marked out so fucking hard.
Yeah, I think I popped bigger over House of Black winning, but this was an incredible match. And two different fucking matches.
Very different.
Yeah.
I think both were match of the night just because they were competing in different leagues.
I would absolutely agree with that. And I mean, you can't... Lewd? Dude.
We did see a lot of Danielson's wiener.
Well, it was mostly taint. And I've already seen that man's balls enough. Just, I don't know, maybe get some longer shorts, buddy.
Yeah, maybe switch to the shorts.
Yeah.
The old man sack is coming in. It's drooping. You gotta play against it.
And unless he's trying to do that as like an enticement.
Well, I mean, he is really, really weird about bleeding. I've seen some interviews, and he describes it in a way that is intense. Intense in a way that sounds weird to me. I'll put it like that.
It's always the ones who prefer the veg. But no, that's not true. Moxley eats red meat.
Moxley would eat people if you let him.
You have to fight him to stop him.
He
Motherfucker brought a fork to a gunfight, okay?
He literally tried to eat Hangman Adam Page with a fork. He's tired of biting people on the forehead. He's becoming refined. He's learning how to use tools. We're all doomed.
I don't remember what my original point was.